The Fort Wayne Escape Room put on a citywide treasure hunt this past weekend, and you had to pay a fee to be able to download this map here, which I printed out, and solve it in order to find the treasure. Now, this was a social distancing activity where you didn't have to leave your car to be able to figure out the map and where the treasure was. Now, the purpose of this video is to try to give you a visual representation instead of just an explanation on how things were figured out on this map. My fiance and I solved this map, and we were awarded 9th place out of, I think, 10 spots. They were given consolation prizes too. We solved it, I think, a day after the winners found the treasure. Anyway, let's get started. So this is the map they sent out to all participants of the treasure hunt. Now, the goal is to find out the final code here, which consists of 10 red boxes. And once you figure out the final code, you email the 24-digit code to the proper email address. And you only get 2 chances at this code. So what I did, I started with the email address, but you could have started anywhere on this map. It didn't have to be done in any specific order. So this email code is a smaller street map that has colored X's on it. These colored X's were statues. So for instance, this light blue statue was Abraham Lincoln outside of Lincoln Financial. And you could find that by either driving to the location, or I got online and actually did this whole email from my computer by using Google Street Maps and Street View, and as well as Google and Wikipedia to find out information about these statues. So this was Abraham Lincoln. Take the first of his given name, so A for Abraham, and the last of his final year, meaning the last number of his death year, which I think was 5. So I'd write A above the blue X there, and 5 above the blue X there. And so you do that for all the statues, and it give you an email. And this email was just kind of jumbled letters and numbers. It was like P-A, D-A, H, J, J, and then some numbers. Now, what I did to check that email to kind of make sure it was correct, I tried to register that exact email on gmail.com, and it said that email was already taken. So I'm like, well, that's got to be it, because who else would register an email like that? So once you had the email to send it to, this section, this street map, was essentially done. Now, for the rest of these 10 boxes, these boxes are kind of a reddish color, and these bigger clues over here all have some sort of red element within it. This is red text, a red circled 3, so meaning this is going to be the answer to the third box, the third red box. So P1, that'd be your first clue. The second one is that one, number 3, and so forth. This would be number 6. So what I'm going to do is go through all of these boxes and figure out how I figured out the code. Now, the cipher over here had everything to do with the final code, because these numbers or letters had to be inputted here into these boxes for the most part. Alright, starting with the first clue of P1, and yes, that's all the clue is, P1. It would lead you to IPFW parking garage 1. Now, I say lead you to, but this is also due to prior knowledge that P1 looks exactly like the same font and with a circle around it as parking garage 1. P1, 2, and 3. Now, as you're driving around in here, you'll see these signs here with letters and colors on them. And that looks exactly like the cipher clue. So you'll keep going up until you find 3 letters, 3 green letters. We have a green J. Second one I see is green. And then a third one straight ahead is an L. So those 3 letters on the cipher, J, K, and L, they said they would accept them in any order, would have gone in the first box. Clue number 2, adjacent but unique monuments within a few feet. Meaning these 2 monuments right here. Camp Allen and then the Kikianga Ball Grounds kind of monument. Add the regiments and find the opposing SS street. So you're adding the regiments on this plaque, which equals 336, and the opposing SS's street is the opposing shortstop's street, meaning Forest City shortstop is Bass Street. So 336 Bass Street. Putting 336 Bass Street in your GPS will lead you to Bass Street, of course, near Bass Park. Next part of the clue, from the exact point it should be clear, above the arrows your second symbol will appear. So of course you're looking above for above the arrows, but actually you'd want to be looking down at the ground. There's the symbol and 4 colored arrows pointing to that symbol. So using the cipher, that symbol would be 34. So you write 34 in the second box. For the third clue, if you Google this date along with Fort Wayne, you'll come up with the date that the landing burned down. Once you're at the landing, you'll see this big buffalo mural there. And so on the cipher, it says count the number of birds on the mural. So then the number of birds would go, which was 19, goes into the third box here. The fourth clue stands for I on. The third Jonas Brothers name is Nick Quarter. So Ionic order. And if you Google Ionic order, it is a architectural kind of thing. And you would find those here at the Masonic Temple, way up there. So atop the fourth Ionic order is that symbol there. So if you look at your cipher, it's the top symbol, number 7. So you'd write 7 in the fourth box, since fourth was marked in red. The fifth clue is Magnavox, and if you look at the cipher, this specific cipher clue is the top of the Fryman Square water fountain. If you Google year completed for Fryman Square, you'll find that the main benefactor in Fryman Square owned the company Magnavox. So the year completed for Fryman Square, you would write in the fifth box. Clue number 6, a selfish person knows this word. So that would be me, M-E, originally made for birds, which birds meaning women, and then learned fellows would come to me on the steps of Old Wayne Street. So if you did a little bit of research, so women and learned fellows, I guessed was like a college of some sort, or library I thought, but it is college on Old Wayne Street. So if you Googled something along the lines of college and Wayne Street, Fort Wayne, you would come up with an M-E. It was called M-E College. So coming down Washington Boulevard, you're gonna want to turn at the very last right turn, which is Thyme Drive. And pulling up to Wayne Street here, at the very end of Wayne Street, is a rock with talking about the old college. Now, once we're here, you use the lottery ticket that is attached to clue number 6 with that red line, and starting with 6 and then 15, you count the 6th letter in on this plaque. So starting with sight of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So F would be your first letter, is the 6th letter. Then the 15th letter is A of Fort Wayne. So if you keep going, this lottery ticket would spell out 3 words: fantasy of lights. So that tells you to come here to Franke Park, where the Fantasy of Lights is held every year, every Christmas. Usually starts right here. So if you drive this loop, you'll eventually come across this parking lot here, where there's a flagpole and a rock. and you can drive right up to this rock here. And on the rock, you can see a symbol. It says CCC, which corresponds to the cipher wanting the bottom number of 1942. So in the 6 box, you would write 1942. Clue number 7 is going to be these triangles. And this one you kind of had to work backwards. You looked at the cipher here. The 2 letters at my doorstep corresponds with this building here. Because at the top, it's kind of in a shadow, but you can see the windows form that exact same pattern. So if you look at this building, you can see that, I don't know if you can see this very well, but it says Knights of Pythias. And if you Google Knights of Pythias, it gives you this symbol, this old symbol of this club, if you want to call it, that used to be here. So that tells you that this was clue number 7. And on the cipher it says 2 letters at my doorstep. So at the Knights of Pythias doorstep, you'll see some letters here. That one's kind of in the shadow, but it says K of P. So they're looking for the letters K and P. So that'd be your answer for your 7th box. This next clue is going to be found at Lindenwood Cemetery, and section H referring to a section in the cemetery where you'll find this headstone. I had previous knowledge of finding a gravestone in here, so I knew that there were lettered sections, and you can actually get a map online of Lindenwood Cemetery. So if you come the right way, straight ahead here is going to be section H. And then straight ahead, you can see that looks like the symbol exactly on the map. So you're gonna look to this side of the headstone because that's where the 8th is written, and know that you'll be needing to go to Trinity English Lutheran Church next. Now if you pull up to the Wayne Street side of the main steps of Trinity Church here, this small door here, if you pull in the right spot, you can see this symbol above the door, which is also on the cipher, and it has an inscription around it. So on the cipher it says count the number of T's. So after you count the number of T's, which would have been 6, you would put that in the 8th box. Your 9th clue, and we can tell this is number 9 because this is the 9th amendment to the Constitution written in red. This is an old former mayor, H.W. Balls, Harry Balls, and a symbol .4 with a north facing symbol. H.W. Balls Drive. And 0.4 miles on this road. And you should end up about here on your map after going 0.4. So that looks exactly like a cipher clue using the last 4 numbers. 1004. For the 9th box, you would write in 1004. And finally, the 10th clue. I'm the smallest in my family, though I stand the tallest. I practice every day. Weigh 290 pounds, and this is my only pitch. These bells here, it's the smallest bell, it stands the tallest. It practices every day, meaning they ring every day. Now it weighs 290 pounds, and this is my only pitch. If you Google the church that this is at, the First Wayne Methodist Church or something, it literally has an explanation of each bell. And so the smallest pitch, the smallest bell, its pitch is E. In the 10th box, which there is a, you would know where to write it because there's a ring, is what bells do, they ring in the 10th box. So your final letter would be E. So there you have it, that's your final code, and you would email it to that address. And then I'm not sure what the last step was, because I think only the winners got the next step, which I think might have been coordinates to where the treasure was located, which was in Lindenwood Nature Preserve. And they said it was in some kind of like unique tree with like a hole in it or something. So big props to Fort Wayne Escape Room. Heck of a job putting that together. Not even sure how that even happened. Like, you have to work backwards to create these puzzles sort of, but very good job, very entertaining. Excited for another one in the future, but obviously not too soon. Otherwise this kind of thing will lose its appeal, and hopefully we won't be having to social distance at that point, and these could be a little harder, you know, hunting through more nature preserves and things like that, where we get out of our car and walk around. I'm not sure how much the cash prize was. They didn't say, neither did the winners. However, one of the winners on the news interview said that he was able to pay a mortgage payment with his half, so I'm assuming it was somewhere around maybe $1,000 to $2,000. I'm hoping the escape room raised a lot of money by doing this, because I absolutely love the place. I've done several escape rooms there, like 3, 4 maybe, and top-notch quality. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.